hail and welcome to the Black Tower. I'm the Sorcerer Monsoul. And tonight, coffee with the Sorcerer interview, I bring to you a member of the Black Tower, Andrew. What's up, brother?
Not much. What's up with you?
Oh, hell, not much. I see you seem to be chilling and relaxing with your sunglasses there.
I like them. I feel like it kind of brings my attire together.
Oh, dude, it looks good, man. Dude, it's your style. It's you, brother. Do you. Do you.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah. So one of the interesting things, you've been with us at the Black Tower for a while now.
Since October 2018.
Yeah. So what was your beginning in magic in general? I mean, what brought you to the arcane arts?
Oh, man, this is kind of an interesting story. Well, when I was about maybe 7 or 8, I started experimenting with meditation and astral projection, although, like, at the time, I didn't know what it was. I had no idea what the hell it was I was getting myself into. I just kind of did it because I thought it was fun. And I didn't actually learn what it was that I was doing until I was like maybe 13 or 14 years old.
Damn.
Yeah.
So what kind of practices do you have under your belt? I mean, what type of magical?
As far as like magical systems
Yeah.
and stuff, like the gate walking out of the Necronomicon is like my first like genuine like high magic practice. But I have played around quite a bit with candle magic during my teens.
Oh yeah.
And I've actually seen some pretty crazy results from doing this.
Well, what kind of experiences have you had working with the Necronomicon? I mean, whether just weird, strange, or just, cool.
Well, when I first started working with the Necro, I had actually kind of started out with the spellbook here.
Yeah.
I was calling upon various different entities and stuff. Like, and I was watching, I'm sorry if I'm stuttering a little bit. I'm actually kind of nervous.
That's cool, man.
It's like my first real time ever actually being interviewed like this.
It's fine, brother. Just be you, man.
But yeah, I started working with the spellbook because I happened to seen a copy of it on eBay, like right after I had bought the Necro. I'm just like, oh, the spellbook, I might want to get that. It may be useful to my practice and what I'm getting myself into. And I'm actually kind of glad that I bought it because when I started working with this, it's helped me get used to a lot of the energies and stuff that I'm going to be opening myself up to and communicating with throughout the Necro.
Yeah. Well, just in the short time you've been with us at the Black Tower, I've noticed you went from, asking questions and stuff to actually literally really getting into it, like making your own tools and so forth and so on. You want to show off your dagger of Anana?
Oh yeah, it's not complete yet because I still have to sharpen it and craft the handle for it, and of course, consecrate it.
Yeah. Man, that is awesome, dude.
Oh yeah, it took me about maybe 20 minutes to engrave and all this, and I actually decided to do this in Babylonian as opposed to the Greek manuscript, which is actually in the Necro. Let me find the page for it so I could show others.
Yeah. Did you understand the symbol that looks like a Leo? Do you understand what that is?
Nope.
You have Kata Draconis and Kaput Draconis, which means the head of the dragon and the tail of the dragon. That particular one is the tail of the dragon. Now, why that's so important is because that's the effective symbol to use to be able to draw energy to be used, whereas the head of the dragon has opposite energies. Pretty cool
Hmm.
shit. So, everything in the Necronomicon based on, stellar constellations and power signs and symbols, stuff like that. In the very first of the book, where we're working through the gate walkings and things, that's just your beginning. That's just where you ultimately just learn about the seven major planets, walking with their dean, working with them, and so forth and so on. I actually found that I needed to enhance my knowledge on constellations, the forces they represent, the spirits attached to them, and things like that. Because how in the Necronomicon it talks about, that there are way more spirits and so forth and so on. That's what they're talking about, and that's how we're going to eventually get, you know. And some of them are given to you by the Dean Gear and by certain spiritual workers, you know. And that's not
Although,
here or there. That's just interesting little knowledge.
although I can say this about the spell book, even though it may seem, has like its 7 simple steps, like drawing the sigil, putting it away until you're ready to use it, and then actually using it, like lighting the candles, lighting the incense, meditating, and then on your goal and what you're trying to manifest and doing the Ziki Anakampa, Zianakampa. Well, I've come to find out, like shortly after just using the spell book, it's some very powerful stuff.
Yeah.
And Ziku has done me quite well, as you can tell with where I'm at.
Yeah. And with the fact of you being able to get everything you need to make your tools.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
It's
would I desire to be rich and be able to share my wealth with those in need and people in general? Absolutely, I would love that. But
yeah.
I
But
think
first
what he
thing,
is wanting me to mainly focus on is doing the gate walking process.
oh yeah. Because it's funny, but the first thing that you always have to take care of is yourself.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
before you can actually be able to do anything else, really.
yeah. I thought it was interesting that you can tell the difference between the people who pick up the book and just mess with it and stuff versus the actual dedicated practitioner to it. Because a dedicated practitioner, they when they connect with those forces and those powers, the next thing you know, their life's changing. Good or bad, it's changing. You know, and usually it's to the good. Usually, you know.
Usually, unless for whatever reason the practitioner just happens to be a complete asshole and misuses the information.
Well, the funny thing about that is that I've found personally over the last couple of decades is that it doesn't really matter your attitude that you bring into it. It's going to transform you, and whatever you bring to it is what it's going to do. So, like, let's say, for example, you're a complete and total dick. And, you're like, well, fuck this person, fuck that person, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and blah, blah, blah. And you just go nuts on the system. Well, it's not that it's a good guy system and it only works for good guys. It's not like that. What happens is whatever state of being that you're in when you're working with these things, they amplify it, good or bad.
Oh yeah, it could either bring out the absolute best in a person, or it could bring out the absolute worst and destroy that practitioner.
Oh, yeah. Because that story where they're talking about the sorcerer that was drug out in the street by invisible forces and torn to pieces, I would have no doubt. Some of the shit I've seen and experienced working with the book, I would have no doubt that that could happen. I'm not sure what you'd have to do for that to happen, and I don't want to know, but
I would not want to find out either. I mean, God, it sounds like he has done like something to like seriously offend a lot of the deities and spirits within the Necro for something like that to happen.
yeah. Well, it's like for example, so you make your covenant. right? Like you make your covenant with the Watcher, you make your covenant with the gods and all this other stuff. Well, you
which
made,
I'm
huh?
which I am currently working on is making the covenant with the Watcher, because that's going to be the next thing that I buy is the bowl to make the Agara Masatu.
Show your sword, because that thing, everybody has different tastes. Let me say this to the audience. A lot of people have different tastes in swords. Your sword doesn't have to be any certain way. It just has to speak to you. It's got to feel powerful in your hands. And that looks like it feels powerful in yours, man.
Oh yeah, that the I actually consecrated my sword of the Watcher during the blood moon that happened back in January, and I gotta say, holy shit! Just like the power that just irradiates off of that blade.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead and put it back in the sheath right quick.
Well, I'm really lucky. The sword I've had it for about 18 years, 18 or 19 years. And it has seen so many eclipses and so many this and so many that. The only rule that I have is the sun does not touch it.
Oh yeah, I refuse to let the sunlight touch any of my stuff, even if it hasn't been consecrated yet. I refuse to let sunlight touch it.
Yeah. I don't know if that's for everybody. I just know that me personally, it always just felt like, keep this out of the sun. And so I stuck with that. But like I said, the only time my sword's ever seen the sun, and I've made certain that it's a full solar eclipse beforehand, is during that time.
Hmm.
And that's the only time. And it never harmed or hurt the energy. As a matter of fact, if you use the same tool, like for example, me using mine for 18, 19 years, I mean, you just basically all you have to do is look on it, and you can almost feel it. Well, if you were in like real, if you were here in real life and actually, you know, you would be within 5 foot of it and feel it, just because it's been charged and consecrated so many times by so many different things, so many different forces, powers, and it's funny that up until I went to doing the gate walking, I had never used my sword to give place to my watcher because my watcher and I don't know if it's from working with him so long. Uh, like also up until then, I never used the Agamasaratu to give offering to him. Yet he was always there, always powerful. It's the same thing as people who say, well, I've worked the spell book and I've never walked the Jupiter gate. How is that? Don't know. It works no matter what, but it's more powerful once you walk the gates. And it just takes the point of actually walking them and then starting to work with Marduk, with the 50 names of Marduk to understand what I'm talking about, that it's different. It's a lot more powerful. It's like, uh, it's like there's always a covering over them. They come through and they'll work. Walk the Jupiter gate and then call them. It's like they are like in their full form, in their full force. I mean,
Oh man, I can only imagine that kind of feeling, that kind of energy, because from what little bit I have done, like out of the spell book and trying to manifest different things,
yeah.
immediately after I kind of say I do the whole Zikianakampa, Zianakampa, Ziningir, Kianakampa, Ziningir, Anakampa, and I call them by their name and their power word. Yes, and I state, I invite you to this rite, or I invite you to this spell working on this night. I can just feel like the energy, like in the room that I am, just completely shift to a whole nother level.
I thank you for sharing, how you invite them. Because there's a lot of people that go just by the book. They don't personalize their calling because they think, oh, I've got to do it just this way, and they're too rigid with it. You've got to
Yes,
you've got to personalize it. You've got to become one on one with these spirits. You can't act like there's something that you call on and send them away.
yeah, that's how I kind of looked at it when I first started working with the spell book, and I'm just like, and it kind of came to me in the form of intuition. Maybe you should put some of your own personal energy into it, and I did, and I have much more powerful manifestations. Although they don't take full physical form, but whenever I'm visualizing, like, so whenever I'm actually visualizing a lot of this, because usually when I'm doing this, I'll actually have my eyes closed.
Yeah.
And trying to perceive it with my mind's eye. Now, there have been times where I've done it with my eyes open, and I could see like the incense smoke just circling around my head, or just kind of just going all over the place. Now, like when I done it the other night, working with one of the 50, I noticed like after I did the Zening Gear Kianakampa, Zening Gear Anakampa, I mean, of course, I thanked them beforehand, and also stated, my will and desire shall be done, and then done the closing prayer. Like, the incense smoke, I happened to notice it, and it just kind of zigzagged like all over the place, and I'm just like, well, I've never seen this happen before.
Well, let me ask you a question. You work a lot with the spirits and stuff, and even our fellow brother William Hill, that's his jam. He loves the spirits of Marduk, man. That's his thing. But one of the experiences I had early on, back when I was 17, 18, and I first started this. Uh, that's what I have, was a spell book of 50 names, and I sat down with two tea lights and it was a little notepad, but it had the perfectly square paper on it and a black marker, and I put the seal in it, and I had my little $1 teak and sandalwood incense from the dollar store, and I sat there, and I was like, I'm gonna see if this works. And so the first night I summoned one, and I heard this whistling, like this really loud whistling, not like somebody whistling a tune, but like, the sound of air moving real fast or something moving through.
Through like a tight space, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to ask you, have you had experiences like that?
Well, the very first time that I ever actually worked with any of the 50,
Yeah.
I was kind of noticing like shadow beings and stuff, like what most people would consider like shadow men or whatever. I view them as lesser demons because, that's what they are. And I was kind of dealing with them for a little while, and I was flipping through the 50. I said, "Oh, look, number 20 sounds like a force that could definitely deal with these beings." Sudarim, holy shit! I called upon him the first time, and it literally felt like the fucking walls were shaking for like a minute or two, and then I heard knocking and scratching, and I even think I might have heard growling at one point. I'm just like, well, this is definitely a force not to be reckoned with.
You said the 20th?
Yeah, Sudarim.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'll find it. And this book this is my hardback, so it'll be much bigger. Give me 1 second, I'll find it. So you used him to get rid of it, huh?
Oh yeah, and it works every single time. And let me tell you, yep, that's it. The power word, Meshanerga. Well, that's how I pronounce it, anyways. I've heard some people pronounce it.
Yeah. I tell you, over my doors, I use the 17th name, Tuku. Or excuse me. Ooh, nope, not 17th. 13th name, Tutu. Tutu is great for protecting the home. Also great for doorways, entrances, stuff like that. Dead serious.
Oh, I might actually have to start working with Tutu soon. Once I actually start working with the Watcher and I start constructing my gates.
Hell yeah.
Because I do know this about like constructing each gate. It's like you have to do it 1 month prior before actually doing the walking, and then like a week before the walking, you have to do like the fasting. The first 4 days, you could only eat vegetation and stuff like that. You can't eat meat, and I would not take my chances with junk food by any means.
Yeah.
And then it's like the last 3 days, you can only drink water, which I wouldn't take my chances with like soda or juice or anything like that, just specifically water. That's how I'd go about it once I actually start the walking and everything. So I might actually start working with Tutu quite soon.
Yeah. Well, if you're able to do that, that's cool. But I will say this right here. I drank coffee. Now I drink straight black coffee though. I
Oh,
don't
that's how I
have,
drink my coffee.
yeah, I don't have milk or sugar. It's just straight black coffee. And mine came out just fine. But now the fasting thing is an important thing because the reason why they say no meat is because blood cannot have ran through it because blood literally will, it changes your vibration. And that's why they say that's why they have that as part of the fast.
Oh yeah, and let me say this: when working one of the four Slayers of the Necronomicon, be careful if you decide to do a blood offering with one of them. Be extremely careful because the one time I did it, I ended up with a sore throat and a slight ear infection for about a week
Wow.
afterwards.
Well, most people don't know this. I think I made a video on it concerning the sacrifice to the four to William Hill. He refers to them as the four assassins. Uh,
The four assassins won't. Yeah, they can be used for that too.
what I do is I get a piece of steak, just thin steak. It can be beef or pork, does not matter. And you want it bloody, and you want it rotten. Yeah, I mean not rotten, but I mean you want it out of the refrigerator. You want it at room temperature. You want it sitting there a couple hours. Put it on a plate, and and you want to have the seal of the spirit, somewhere near to it, showing that that's an offering to them in its place. And the reason why is because then you're going to go and you're going to take this piece of meat and you're going to take it as far away as possible from where you live and you're going to bury it along with the seal that you burn over it so that the ashes fall on it, so that it shows that it's theirs. And being buried, it means it's been forgotten, it's been given, it's no longer yours to use or take, it's theirs. That's the safest way to work with them. You can do the same thing with an egg. It just depends on, your style. Because it has to be something that was once living that has a life force that they can feed off of, which is, like you're talking about. Now they can cause way more than that. I mean, they can cause some serious physical problems. I've heard horror stories from lots of people, and I'm like, well, thankfully, I never had to deal with that because, for whatever reason, it was explained to me by my watcher, what to give them. And so I just stuck with that, you know.
Oh yeah, I will say this though: the Necronomicon is a very powerful book, and personally, I don't think it's for everyone. And why that is because I don't. It's like personally, I feel like not everyone will be able to handle that kind of power within the book itself. I mean, I've heard some stories about people just reading the book and then either having like massive headaches or stomach problems, etc. I mean, then again, that could be more psychological.
Yeah.
But yes, and just how much and how transformative that book is, I feel like not everyone is going to be able to handle that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
that's why you probably hear some stories about people just losing their minds when trying to work with it.
yeah. Well, it took me a long time. I never thought anything about it until the last few years, and it just really hit home that that book is not for everyone, and it should not be approached, haphazardly, because straight up, the book will either call you or won't call you. It'll either work with you or won't work with you. But the thing about it is if you're unstable, if you're imbalanced, once again, it will amplify, you know.
And it will bring out the absolute worst and it will destroy you.
Yeah, I mean that's just the way it is. You know, I don't, I don't, I don't know to what extent or what, like on the low end, it just turns your stomach. It's just not your thing, whatever. And in which case, then you're lucky, just give it to somebody else or whatever you're gonna do with it, and go about your own business. But it is probably one of the most dangerous tomes, and here's why. Because see, what's happening in the process of becoming a priest of the system, and by priest I don't mean a worshiper. By a priest, I mean one who does the work. What happens is that it cleanses the self, and it removes parts and pieces of you. It purifies you, makes you, well, for lack of better words, holy. And not holy as in the sense of angels singing on high, but whole, like, a whole piece, holy, you know. It makes you like that. It puts everything back together, you know. And then, and then later on, when working with the ancient ones, at that point, it's about embracing the chaos within and learning to constructively channel, which makes your magic even more powerful when you're working through it. Now, that's what I found.
Oh yeah, and with working, and actually having a knowledge and understanding of the Necronomicon, it is actually quite universal to be used in other magical systems as well.
Yeah.
That I have noticed because I've actually done a little bit of stuff out of the Lesser Key of Solomon, but I don't go to the extent of threatening to torture any entity that I may work with.
That's probably a good thing, brother.
I go about trying to invoke them by my own means, usually either through meditation or scrying in my bathroom mirror.
Right.
Let me tell you, it's like once you and as far as like scrying, it's like once you actually focus your mind's eye into it, you can definitely tell a shift in the tone and the vibration and the energy around you, and the particular spirit that you're trying to call for will show up.
Oh yeah.
Just not in the form that you may imagine it, but it will show up, and and if you're actually in tune with the energies that you were trying to work with, you'll know that they're there,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's actually them.
Yeah. I mean,
I mean,
like, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I know in some cases when people try to work with spirits in general, they may be approached by a completely different spirit altogether that may claim that it is the particular spirit that they're trying to call upon, and it's not actually them. Well, this is why it's always good to try and be in tone with things, if that makes any sense.
It does. There is a little trick around that though with the Necronomicon. Come by Amnu, come by Enki, come by Enlil. And what that will do is it acts as a when you're working through the seven gates and you're working with the spirits of Marduk and the spirits of the planets and so forth and so on, you can do that. And what will happen is it'll make for certain that the spirit that you're summoning is the actual spirit that is attuned, not some trickster spirit or something, low vibrational entity trying to, feed off you.
Oh yeah, I've had experiences like that in high school. Yeah, because I was actually kind of a novice then, but I really wouldn't consider myself a novice now, but at the same time, I wouldn't consider myself a master because there's still a lot that I'm learning.
Well, see, there's a point where, you can sit back, study, and read for years. And then there comes a point where you just need to, like, put the book down and pick up the tools and start working it, you know. And that's what's kind of cool with you, is watching you, grow into your practice. You know, like I said, I watched it go from, posting and asking questions and stuff to straight up like the tool getting and just, putting it all together. And I'm like, hell yeah, that's how you do it right there.
Oh yeah, you remember like some of the posts that I made back in, was it December or January, where I was actually having dreams about walking the gates?
Yes, I do.
Man,
And it
that
still
was
happens.
every now and again I still have those kind of dreams. Just and they're not like real and they're not like real noticeable dreams. They're dreams within dreams that I have. Because that sometimes happens, and then I will see significant events in my life unfold, like me walking the gates, or something significant that may happen in my personal life, which may lead me to that particular situation for whatever magical operation that I may engage myself in.
Yeah. Well,
Usually either working with the gates and or the watcher.
yeah. Back years ago, I used the same concept that they use for walking the spheres on the Tree of Life, for walking the 7 planets. But I gotta say, doing the actual physical ritual from the book, way different. The power is just wow. And you can, and for some reason, every time you walk a gate, you feel a piece of you changed in accordance with that gate and its energies and what it affects in you. You will feel it, you will know it, because once you've done the first gate walking, it may or may not be, absolutely like, incredibly, telling. But within a few days to a week, you'll start noticing, hey, my thinking's changed, this has changed, that's changed.
Oh yeah, my perspective is like, and even like with someone like me who spent a lot of time working with the 50 names, but my kind of like my whole perspective on reality has started to change.
Yeah.
That's and kind of like my whole mental state has started to change as well. And let me give you an example. About 2 years ago, or almost 2 years ago, I was out like super anxious, like super depressed from time to time, and just had no real self-confidence in myself. I was pretty much what you say what a lot of people would consider a beta,
Yeah.
a beta male, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And ever since I started working with the 50 names and just doing workings and studying out of the Necronomicon, like a lot of that has begun to change. Like a lot of my thought patterns have began to change. It's like I'm nowhere near as anxious as I used to be. I'm not as depressed. I don't frequently have depressing thoughts or just or thoughts about ending it,
Yeah.
which I have attempted before in the past. I will admit to it, but I'm not proud of it. But I'm not real. But I don't have that particular thought pattern anymore. I'm a lot more confident in what I do. I don't go around sulking all day like I used to.
That's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to, when you come with the intent of becoming transformed or changed, or just even if you're just going along with it, if there's something about yourself that you don't like that you want changed to begin with, that's an underlying intent. And so it is amazing to watch what these powers can actually do for you. So that's a hell of a testimony right there.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to see what else is what the Necronomicon could actually do for me. And I keep flashing this a lot. Love this book. Oh yeah, absolutely love this book. I keep getting drawn back to it.
Yeah.
Even when I'm like studying like various other like different magical systems and stuff, I always keep getting drawn back to the Necronomicon because that's what resonates with me the most.
Yeah. Hell yeah, man. I think that it's interesting that, you were talking about, dealing with depression and suicidal thoughts and feelings and stuff and going through all that. It's funny that this book seems to draw the most damaged individuals, and it turns them, it totally transforms and changes them into some of the most powerful, capable, people. It totally transforms it, it heals them, and they're, and for as much as it can destroy, it can create. And I find it amazing because that's not the first testimony I've heard about how I used to be and then what this has done for, stuff like that. Because it's amazing how many people have said, I come to understand the truth inside myself that was, missing the whole time. So that's kind of cool.
Oh yeah. I guess maybe the next thing that the Necronomicon will hopefully change about me is the fact that I sometimes like to procrastinate. And then again, everyone does. Everyone likes to procrastinate every now and again. Hopefully that is something else about me that will change. because I do have a lot of goals and a lot of dreams that I am wanting to pursue, but due to time constraint, and by the time I get off of work, come home, I usually work about 40 hours. I'm just like, oh, I don't feel like doing shit.
Right. And, and that's, I think procrastination is just a natural thing. I know that it still exists even in the magical occult community. It just affects everybody. It's something whether it's either, we're following our inner tides where it's saying, I need some downtime. I need to just, not focus on that. I need to just, ground out in mundanity. There's nothing wrong with that. But also, like you were saying, with the procrastination, it's like, okay, now it's time to do something. As long as you always pick yourself up and get to moving, you're good.
Yeah, it's like mentally, it's like, I want to do this. I need to do this. My body's just like, nah, man, we resting. It's just like, I'm just like, yeah, maybe I could, wait about another 5 or 10 minutes. Damn it, missed my mark.
It's the Shamash, the sun god. I found that when walking he didn't just cleanse me like an aura wise and stuff, and and all that. Also gave me drive, a greater drive,
To
and
actually get things done, right?
yeah, I mean, I don't know, but ever since my surgery or whatever, and the last week and a half of doing these videos and things, I'm like right there on it, and I find that amazing because all the crap I have to deal with, from pain and all and recovery and all this, that, and the other, that I don't allow low things to stop me. I don't allow it to slow me down. It's going to slow me down to a degree, but I'm not going to allow it to stop me. You know, and part of deciding that you're going to pick up the work and actually start doing it. Deciding, okay, well, I've been putting this off for 2 days. Now it's time to get back to it, or whatever. That's a part of it. Uh, One of the things, though, and this concerns Shamash that I was trying to actually get at, is that Shamash is a great motivator, great energizer, not motivator, but energizer. So he brings up that will and that drive and that momentum. So wait till you get to that gate. That gets intense. So if you go stir crazy and you're like, I just pulled a 10-hour shift, what the hell? That's Shamash, man. That's what he does. Oh, but
I'll
man,
look forward to working his gate.
hell yeah. Well, you know what? The thing is don't overthink it. Do it. Throw yourself into it. Make it personal. I can't say it any more than that. Make it personal. Become one with these Dean gear. You know, don't. You've got to be very careful because the book writes it out is too much like becoming a priest of this system. Is that we worship them or we adore them? Stuff like that. Well, of course I adore them. I adore them for being who and what they are, and these forces and these powers, and they're in my life, and they're within me, and so forth and so on, and I within them. But the thing is, and this is the most important critical part about it, is that when you're dealing with the demon gear, don't look at them as if they're greater than you. Respect them, like first and foremost, because they do represent a great, great power that you don't represent. It may exist within you, but you don't represent it like they do. But at the same time, stand there, be sure of yourself. You know what I'm saying? Be confident and just do your thing. And I mean, just watch it. They respect that, and I don't know how to explain that any better. They respect that. And I'm looking forward to hearing more from when you actually get to your gay walking. I want to hear some of your stories and so forth and so on because that's gonna be cool. But also, and I'm sure you do, keep up with a notebook. Man, I have like two, three, four notebooks around me at all times just to write down ideas, things that come to me, stuff like that. But with the gate walkings, absolutely.
Yeah, I probably should keep a notebook because like all my notes and stuff I keep up here.
If you
I
can
guess
do it,
it's
that's good.
I guess it's kind of a good thing as to why I have an excellent long-term memory.
Yeah.
Is when something gets in my head, it's there.
Hell yeah. Now,
Although I probably should start writing all my stuff down. I've actually had suggestions like that, like crazy, just as forms of intuition. Hey, you should buy that book. Buy that blank book and actually start taking notes because you're going to need it later on.
yeah. Or, well, as you're taking notes, and later on after you've done the gate walking, go in and hand draw the gates, write the conjuration for the gate, write the secret name given to you, the word of power to pass to the next gate, and just, roll with it, you know, because, that, when they say that you should have your own copy written in your own hand, you should, you know, it's not like, oh, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to write the Necronomicon from front to back. No, 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 no.
You got to write it from your own experiences
Yeah,
and your own interpretation. That's what wasn't it the Mad Arab who given us that command
yeah,
in the second testimony?
yep.
Or whatever, the testimony part 2? I'm pretty sure it's the final book in the Necro.
Yeah, Testimony of the Mad Arab Part 2. It's the very last book, or very
Yep.
last chapter. Yeah.
It is on, let me look at the page here. It's on page 204.
Oh.
Just right after the,
Necronomicon.
yeah, it's literally right after the Aurelia text. And I haven't read the Aurelia text entirely, but what little bit I have read, holy shit, the Aurelia text just looks insane.
Yeah.
Compared to like the Book of Calling.
Well, see, I had to put it all in order. And that was my own personal thing. Like you got 3 different, what you would call degrees or grades, I guess you could call it. One is where you work with the Dean gear. That's the gate walking. The next section is working with the ancient ones, which is Tiamat, Su, Kingu, and all that. That's very powerful working with the abominations. I mean, this is, that when you use that gate and you work in that, that's when you enter the Black Earth. That's when you start working with the Agigi. So you have the Dean gear, which are the sky gods and stuff, and then you have the Agigi, which are, well, for lack of better words, they're the gods of the earth and the outer planes, of the Black Earth. They're the spirits of that realm. And, and then it goes even further than that, where you're working with the old ones after that. So.
And speaking of the Aurelia text, I've actually I've had some pretty crazy dreams within like the past month or so. I'm trying to figure out why I'm seeing Humwawa and Pazuzu in a lot of my dreams that I've been having recently.
Yeah. Well, they're the gateway. Umarat to Will is referred to as the Ancient of Days, according to the system. And the Amulet of is the gate itself to the outside, to the old ones, which was where Eaxacock, Azathoth, and all that. That's where they dwell. And Pazuzu and Humwala, they're the ones that you have to call upon to be able to call upon the Ancient of Days and pass the gate to the old ones. So
I guess maybe those dreams that I'm having is a look as to what I'm going to be dealing with outside. It's like after I complete the gate walking.
Yeah. Well, I tell you something really weird. While I was doing the gate walking, I was having at the exact same time, certain of the old ones were coming through at the exact same time. Like I would do the physical gate walking for the planets, and then I would be having dreams and visions of the old ones, and I was like, "What the fuck?" I'd like that was trippy as shit because they're connected. It's like a web, man. I have no idea how to explain that. It's a trippy shit though.
Oh yeah.
So
it was in one dream that I had, like the first time I ever dreamed about Pazuzu specifically. I remember he was telling me something, but for the life of me, I'm not able to recall what it was that he was telling me, but it sounded pretty important. I'm trying to fucking remember what it was.
Oh,
Although it had something to do with visualization.
yeah,
That I do remember. It had something to do with visualization, but that's all I can remember.
yeah. Like, if you ever want to know whether or not a spirit actually has heard you, whether it's taken into account or anything like that, when a seal or a sigil flashes, like just gives off a quick burst, that entity's heard you. The energy's opened, it's unlocked. And a spirit usually gives you a sign that's very similar. You know, whether it's a flash of color around them, whether it's a nod, but it's always something you'll catch, you'll see it. You know what I'm saying? It's apparent. Uh, you know, stuff like that. I use that particular aspect also as well. It works really well as a test for a spirit without being a test. Because when a spirit reacts and vibrates right, you know you're dealing with the right one as well. Uh, I have yet to have any negative experiences out of a lot of it. Now, I've been chastised a few times about, you know, not keeping with certain things, you know, like keeping up with the offerings proper, so forth and so on. But that's to be expected because you know, it is part of the system, you know. So it's not that, oh, you better do this and you better do that, or this is going to happen or that's going to happen. No, but don't be surprised if you get chastised by spirits, or you know, messages come across like you need to do this, you need to do that. Why haven't you? Uh, like one night, I got kept awake for about 3 hours by my watcher, who was just like, keep to the covenant. And I'm like, yeah, I've kept the covenant. And then it dawned on me also. I was like, holy shit, I haven't gave my offer. Oh, that's why my boy hollering at me. All right, on my way, man.
Oh man.
So even with somebody with my experience, the same shit can happen, man. I mean, like I said, we're not special. We're not special butterflies and gurus around here, man. We're practitioners. You know, we all make mistakes. None of us are perfect. You know, uh, but you know, so I can understand that whole. You know, it's funny with Pazuzu, and let me explain to you why this is funny. And he's telling you about visualization. Imagine Humwawa is the thunder, so he's the sound. He's what you hear. And then imagine Pazuzu is the lightning. So he's going to get your attention. So that explains why he would be saying, you know, you need to work on visualization. I think that's interesting. It's a good correlation. It makes sense. It's good correspondence, you know, because when you're doing the right, I wrote the write out, put it in a few places, and it's in uh, my own personal copy of the Necronomicon of how to walk the gate to the old ones, and Humwawa, his seal that's in the book, is actually it's enacted by walking the pace of you and a path of 8 internal concentric circles like a maze would be. And then you would call upon, and the whole time you're chanting Humwawa's name, and then when you get to the center, you call upon Pazuzu using his posture, and when he comes, because it's not that when he comes, he's there, because where one is, the other is, but you have to make this point of calling him. And when he comes, it's like a lightning. I mean, your mind's eye, you'll see it. You won't miss it. And there stands the grinning angel, the Lord of Decay. Yeah, I mean, it's just he's a badass too. Let me tell you. And then once you have both their presences there, then you can call upon the Ancient of Days, because see, they kind of guard over the gate to make sure that you're not getting through. The third watcher of that gate that most people don't know is Ishnagarav, who is a great god. Ishnagarav is my experience with Ishna Grab, at first I didn't know what I was messing with. I had no idea what I was dealing with. I didn't know it was a god. I had no idea. There are 5 places where he spoke about in the Necronomicon, and every single time it's a fucking line or a phrase, and that's it. So calling upon Ishna Grab, come to find out he's a god. Not only is he a god, but he is the god that guides you in your destination of going to the outside. I kind of think of him as an emissary of the Yaxakai because of that, because he works on this side of the gate, whereas the Yaxakai is the gate, and you know, so forth and so on the other side. Rob guides you, and so it's kind of because each one has 3 different gatekeepers. Uh, when working with Ganzir's underworld, you have the 3 horned queens. You know, uh, holy crap, mind going blank. And yet, if I had my thing here, yeah. But anyway, you have the 3 horned queens. Uh, for some reason, Ishna Garab's name just keeps flashing through my head for whatever reason. But I believe it's in the Aurelia is where it talks about the queens. But one of them is the gatekeeper of the underworld. Uh, oh, holy crap, man! I may have to look up that later. But anyway, so the 3 horned queens, they're the watchers of the underworld, and then of this world you have Anu, Ancient, and Real, and then to the outside you have Ishna Garab, Huala, and Pazuzu. And then of course the 10th, of course, and this is how I've come to understand how the Necronomicon actually relates to the Tree of Life, is because you have the 3 lower gate watchers, 3 middle gate watchers, and the 3 outer gate watchers. That's 9. Well, the crown, which is Kether, would be the Ancient of Days, and Kether isn't seen on the Tree of Life. Kether is not something you can obtain to. It's something that obtains to you, that is placed upon your head like a crown. Hence its name. And anyway, so that's where the Ancient of Days comes in. So he's like the 10th watcher, if you will. And then you start to work with the old ones. And that's neither here nor there. It's just, that's just something interesting to know. And I cannot believe that I actually literally forgot the name of my 3 ladies. That is so messed up. Like, their names are always on in my head. But ever since I said Ishna Garab, like, seriously, it's not leaving my head. I can still hear it being echoed. But anyway, but when you connect with this, see, they're all connected. All you've got to do is just be willing, pick up the book, go to doing the work, stuff like that. All these spirits are right there with you. But see, what's happening as you descend and you work these different planes and gates and stuff, you're aligning with them. You're making an agreement. You're making a covenant with them. And you're not making a covenant with a deity that, oh, it's not like a pact. Okay, it's a covenant. It's an agreement that as you grow and you become, you're going to start emulating them. You're going to start becoming them. You're going to mirror them, so that at the end of the working, at the end of everything that you're doing, you're a perfected being. I guess it's what in this day and age everybody could call a god if you just wanted to. So it is an ascension thing. It's how to become a god. And not necessarily become a god, but to realize that you are a god. And this is how you unlock the power of your godhood, is by doing the system.
Oh yeah, like very recently, I've actually kind of just started discovering various aspects of my inner godhood. The more I work with the spell book and the more I do research at the Necro. So I guess that's something else that a lot of the deities within that book is trying to tell me. You yourself are a god. You just have to reach it within and learn how to harness that power and become one with it.
Yeah. Think of one word. It's out of the Zakia Campus, the Anacampus, the very last word, Campa, and it means remember. Because years ago, I recognized that the book reads a lot like the Egyptian Book of the Dead. It is a funerary text. It really fucking is, but it's a funerary text for the flesh, for the putting off the mortal and assuming the immortal. And in that aspect, you're working a death current that is guiding you to as we've discussed, your godhood, to remembering. Because that's why it's quoted, remember, remember, remember. That's why I said 3 times. Is it's kind of like a nod to the left, a nod to the right, one to the center. Also symbolic of, recognizing the 3 watchers of each thing that you're doing, so forth and so on. So, maybe that'll help you just a little bit while you're doing what you're doing, you know.
That's why it says spirit of the earth, remember, spirit of the sky, remember. I was wondering about that. Well, now I know.
Hell yeah, brother. Well, brother, we're getting to that time. Is there anything you would want to say to the audience? I mean, just anything?
Well, to any of the beginners and stuff who happen to be watching this particular video, if you do decide to work with the Necronomicon just right off, I warn you, be careful. Be extremely careful on how you use the book and the information within the book. It can either build you up or it can destroy you.
That's some damn good advice. I I was laughing and cutting up joking with my wife about a year and a half ago. I was like, they don't have enough warnings on this book. They just don't. Like, it's just not stated enough. Like, the cover shouldn't say Necronomicon, or if it does, right below it would be a big, huge stop sign that says, be careful.
Or like a big warning label on there.
Right. Maybe not a stop sign because you're not trying to stop somebody, but yeah, the yellow caution. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Or like the red, or have like some red tape that says danger, like what they use on construction sites.
Yeah.
Approach with caution.
Proceed fearlessly, but please watch your step. But with that being said and done, Andrew, thank you very much for being here tonight with us, man. Thank you. It's an honor to have you here.
Oh, yeah, it's an honor to be here, and it's good to finally be able to meet you in person.
Oh, yeah, man. You too, brother. And, it's good to have you in the Black Tower. And, we all appreciate you being there and everything that you share and, put out there, and for doing this for me, man. So, thank you.
Anytime. It feels amazing to actually be a part of something that's greater than our physical selves.
Yeah. Or we're small pieces of a larger puzzle. One big family. And that's the way it should be. But without further ado, to everybody out there, I wish you peace, blessings, and power. Until next time, and I hope you enjoyed this. Peace.